They mocked him on live TV, and he responded with a lawsuit that revealed the shocking truth behind the scenes. The night began like any other for millions of viewers who tuned into their favorite late-night comedy show. The familiar intro music played, the host stepped onto the stage with his trademark swagger, and the crowd erupted in cheers. It was business as usual, sharp political jabs, cultural commentary, and a sprinkle of self-deprecating humor. But as the night progressed, something felt different. Toward the middle of the show, the host leaned against his desk, smirking at the camera. "Let's talk about the quiet Trump," he announced. A photo of 18-year-old Barron Trump flashed on the screen. The audience chuckled, unsure of where this was going. The host began with light banter, joking about Barron's height and aloof demeanor, but within moments, the tone shifted. The jokes became personal, dissecting his appearance, mannerisms, and private life. The crowd's laughter wavered, some shifting uncomfortably in their seats. For a brief second, even the host hesitated, as if realizing he might be crossing a line. But instead of pulling back, he doubled down. The punchline landed harshly, eliciting gasps instead of laughter. At home in Florida, Barron was scrolling through his phone when clips of the segment started popping up on social media. His initial reaction was disbelief. Watching it again, he felt a lump form in his throat. The laughter, the cruel commentary. It all felt like a spotlight shining directly on his most vulnerable insecurities. It wasn't just teasing, it felt calculated, mean-spirited. The reaction online was swift. Hashtags like #TartHatTooFar and Defend Barron began trending. Critics and supporters of the show clashed in heated debates, with some defending the segment as just comedy and others condemning it as outright bullying. Media outlets picked up the story within hours, replaying the clip repeatedly as commentators weighed in. For Barron, who had spent much of his life shielded from the public eye, this was uncharted territory. He had grown up watching his family navigate scandals and controversies, but he had always been the quiet one, the one who stayed in the background. Now, the spotlight was on him, and he wasn't sure how to handle it. His family quickly rallied around him. Melania Trump, fiercely protective of her son, was the first to speak out. "My son is not a public figure," she said in a statement. "Children should be off limits, no matter who their parents are." The comment drew praise from supporters, and even some critics, but it did little to quell the growing firestorm. Barron spent the next few days avoiding the news, hoping the attention would die down, but it didn't. The clip continued to circulate, the laughter haunting him in every replay. He began to wonder if this was just how things worked, if being ridiculed was an inevitable consequence of his family name. But something about the situation didn't sit right with him. This wasn't just a passing joke or a momentary lapse in judgment. It was an intentional decision to mock an 18-year-old who had done nothing to warrant the scrutiny. The more Barron thought about it, the more he realized he couldn't let it go. He replayed the segment one last time, watching every smirk and every word. Then he turned off his phone and sat in silence. The thought weighed heavily on him. If I don't stand up for myself, who will? But standing up meant stepping into Nozatu, a world he'd avoided for years, a world of scrutiny, controversy, and relentless judgment. Was he ready for what was to come? In the days following the late-night show's controversial segment, Barron couldn't escape the constant buzz. Headlines dissecting the jokes, viral social media posts debating his reaction, and even unsolicited advice from strangers. Yet amid all the noise, he remained silent. It wasn't that he didn't have things to say, he just wasn't sure anyone would care to listen. The Trump family's mansion in Palm Beach was unusually tense. Discussions swirled among advisors and legal experts, each with their own opinion on how to handle the situation. Some believed ignoring the controversy was the best strategy, while others argued for a public rebuttal. "This will pass, Barron," an older family friend said, over coffee one morning. "These things always do. Don't give it more attention." But Barron wasn't convinced. Sitting at the edge of the family's sprawling terrace, overlooking the ocean, he replayed the events in his mind. The laughter from the audience felt louder with every memory, echoing like a taunt. It wasn't just about the embarrassment. He had grown up learning to handle whispers and stares. This felt deeper, more malicious. The turning point came during a quiet moment with his mother. Melania, always poised and measured, had been his unwavering pillar throughout the ordeal. She found him alone in the study, staring blankly at his laptop. Without saying a word, she placed her hand on his shoulder. "You don't have to fight this battle," she said softly. "But if you choose to, you won't fight it alone." Her words lingered in Barron's mind. For the first time, he realized the weight of his own decision. This wasn't just about defending himself. It was about setting a precedent. If he let this slide, it would send a message that public figures, even those as young as him, were fair game for ridicule. And what about others who faced bullying without the platform to speak out? That night, after hours of contemplation, Barron walked into the dining room, where his father's longtime attorney was seated. The man had an imposing presence, his silver hair slicked back, and his briefcase neatly placed by his side. He looked up as Barron entered, raising an eyebrow in curiosity. "I've made my decision," Barron said, his voice steady, despite the weight of his words. "I want to file a lawsuit." The attorney leaned back in his chair, studying the young man in front of him. "You understand what this means, don't you? This won't just be about the jokes. The media will pick you apart. They'll dig into your life, your history, everything. Are you ready for that?" "I've thought about it," Barron replied, meeting his gaze. "And I know it won't be easy. But this isn't just about me. It's about showing people that there's a line, and that crossing it has consequences." The attorney nodded, a faint smile breaking his otherwise stoic expression. "All right," he said. "Then let's make them understand." The lawsuit was filed within days, and news of Barron's decision spread like wildfire. Media outlets pounced on the story, analyzing every detail of the case and speculating on the outcome. The lawsuit wasn't just a legal battle. It was a cultural flashpoint. Some hailed Barron as a symbol of standing up to bullying, while others dismissed him as